Most people think a strong mind is a gift, something you're born with, like blue eyes or a tall frame. They look at people who stay calm in a crisis and think they are just built different. They think these people don't feel fear, don't feel doubt, and never lose focus. But the truth is much more uncomfortable. A strong mind isn't a gift, it's a machine. And most of you are running on outdated, buggy software. You are operating on the default settings. You react when you should observe. You crumble when you should lean in. If you want a mind that scares people, a mind that is so disciplined and so objective that it feels unnatural, you have to stop trying to be tough. You have to start being architectural. You need to rebuild your cognitive framework from the ground up. Chapter 1. The death of reactivity. Most people are like pinballs. Life hits them and they bounce. A mean email, a red light, a market crash. They spend their entire lives reacting to external stimuli. Their mood, their focus, and their identity are at the mercy of the world around them. The elite don't react, they process. Think of a high-frequency trader or a fighter pilot. If they react emotionally to a mistake, they die, metaphorically or literally. They use a tool called cognitive decoupling. Cognitive decoupling is the ability to separate a fact from your feeling about that fact. The average person sees a problem and thinks, "This is bad, I am failing, I feel stressed." The strong mind sees the same problem and thinks, "The variable has changed, adjust the input." It is the absolute removal of I from the equation. Your ego is a tax on your intelligence. Every time you take something personally, you are paying a cognitive fee. You are wasting energy on a narrative that doesn't exist. To build a strong mind, you must become a witness to your own thoughts. When a negative thought enters your head, don't fight it. That just gives it fuel. Observe it like a scientist looking at a specimen. How interesting! My brain is producing a stress signal because I am afraid of rejection. Once you name the bug, it stops being a part of the code. It just becomes a line of text you can delete. This isn't positive thinking. Positive thinking is a lie you tell yourself. This is radical objectivity. It is seeing the world exactly as it is, without the filter of your own insecurities. Chapter 2. The Focus Vault. We live in an economy of distraction. Your attention is the most valuable resource on the planet, and every app on your phone is a sophisticated machine designed to steal it. Most people have the attention span of a goldfish on caffeine. If you can hold your focus on a single point for 2 hours while the world is screaming for your attention, you are a superhero. The strong mind uses a technique called cognitive hardening. It's the practice of voluntarily seeking out boredom and silence. Most people can't sit in a room alone for 10 minutes without reaching for their phone. That is a sign of a weak mind. It's a mind that is terrified of its own silence. You need to build a focus vault. This isn't just about turning off notifications. It's about monotasking as a religion. The multitasking you do is a myth. Your brain doesn't do 2 things at once. It just switches between them rapidly, incurring a switching cost every time. You're not working harder, you're just making yourself stupider. The strong mind drills into one task until the task gives up. They don't wait for flow. Flow is for amateurs. The elite use systematized deep work. They schedule the struggle. They know that the first 20 minutes of any hard task will feel like garbage. Your brain will itch. You will want to check the news. You will want to get a snack. That itch is the resistance. Most people quit at the itch. The strong mind recognizes the itch as the starting line. If you don't feel the resistance, you aren't growing. The struggle isn't the obstacle. The struggle is the workout. Chapter 3. The Hormetic Threshold. Most of you are too comfortable. Your pillows are too soft. Your food is too easy to get.
and your environment is perfectly temperature-controlled. Comfort is a slow poison for the mind. It makes you fragile. It makes you easy to break. The strongest minds in history, the Stoics, the samurai, the elite special forces, all practiced voluntary hardship. In biology, there is a concept called hormesis. It's the idea that a small amount of stress, something that should be toxic, actually makes the organism stronger. Think of weightlifting. You are literally tearing your muscle fibers so they grow back denser. You need to do the same for your brain. You need to find your hormetic threshold. If you hate cold water, take a cold shower. If you hate public speaking, find a stage. If you are terrified of being alone, go on a solo trip. You aren't doing this to be a tough guy. You are doing this to prove to your nervous system that discomfort is not a threat.
When you constantly expose yourself to controlled stress, your panic button gets harder to press. Situations that would send a normal person into a tailspin don't even register on your radar. You develop a resting heart rate for your mind. People find this scary. When they are panicking and you are standing there perfectly calm, looking for a solution, it feels like you're missing a human element. You're not. You've just moved the threshold. You've expanded your comfort zone until it's swallowed the things that used to terrify you. Chapter 4: The Simulation Engine. The average person lives in the present, reacting to what happens. The strong mind lives in a simulation. Before an elite performer steps onto the field, they've already played the game 1,000 times in their head. But they don't just visualize the win. That's what manifesting gurus tell you to do, and it's useless. The strong mind practices pre-mortem visualization. They don't imagine everything going right. They imagine everything going wrong. They imagine the computer crashing during the presentation. They imagine the client saying no. They imagine the injury. They imagine the failure. They do this so they can build contingency maps. When the disaster actually happens, the average person is paralyzed by shock. Their brain is trying to process a new reality. But the strong mind just says, simulation 42. I know exactly what to do. This isn't pessimism, it's strategic readiness. It's having a bailout move for every possible scenario. This creates a level of confidence that is unshakable because it isn't based on hope, it's based on data. You are no longer guessing, you are executing. Chapter 5: The Information Diet. You are what you consume, not just the food you eat, but the data you let into your skull. Most people have a trash food diet for their minds. They consume endless loops of outrage, celebrity gossip, and 15-second clips of nothingness. Your brain is a pattern recognition machine. If you feed it trash, it will produce trash thoughts. If you feed it chaos, it will be chaotic. The strong mind is ruthlessly elitist about information. They don't keep up with the news. The news is designed to keep you in a state of low-level anxiety. It's fast food for the brain, high in salt and sugar, zero in nutrition. Instead, they go for Lindy-stable information. They read books that have been relevant for 100 years. They study first principles, physics, biology, psychology. They want the source code of reality, not the daily commentary. They also understand the power of silence. We are the first generation of humans that never has to be bored. Any gap in our day is filled by a screen.
But boredom is where original thought happens. It's where your brain synthesizes information and creates new connections. If you are constantly consuming, you are never producing. You are just a relay station for other people's ideas. To build a strong mind, you must have the courage to be uninformed about the trivial. It's okay not to have an opinion on the latest scandal. It's okay not to know what's trending. That missing out is actually a gain. You are reclaiming the bandwidth that everyone else is wasting. Chapter 6: The Feedback Loop. The final piece of the machine is the internal audit. A weak mind is defensive. It hates being wrong. It sees a mistake as a threat to its identity. So it hides the mistake, makes excuses, and blames others. A strong mind is predatory toward its own errors. They use a process of constant iteration. Every night, they audit their day.
Not with journaling about their feelings, but with a cold analysis of their performance. Where did I lose my temper? Why did I get distracted at 2 p.m.? What was the specific trigger that made me skip my workout? They look for the root cause. They don't say, I was lazy. Lazy is a lazy word. They say, I didn't have a clear next step, so my brain chose the path of least resistance. Then they fix the system. When you stop caring about being right and start caring about getting it right, you become dangerous. You start evolving at a rate that leaves everyone else behind. While they are busy defending their ego, you are busy upgrading your operating system. A mind that is constantly self-correcting, that doesn't fear discomfort, and that can't be distracted, that is a mind that scares people. Because it's a mind that cannot be stopped. It's not about being a genius, it's about being relentless. Stop waiting for the motivation to feel strong. Build the machine, do the work, and let the results speak for themselves.